So here's something pretty interesting. It appears that Marjorie Taylor Greene, the crazy QAnon Trump lunatic, has actually had her own fans turn on her. And so basically what's going on right now is there's this pretty crazy DeSantis-Trump war going on the right. But as of right now, the Trump side is like destroying DeSantis. DeSantis hasn't entered the race. His strategies that he's used are complete garbage and a lot of like back and forth in terms of determining his strategy. And then Trump is getting a huge boost right now. I can't wait to see the numbers after this boost dies down because of all this indictment stuff. It's really rallying support for him. So it'll be interesting to see what his numbers are after the boost runs out, and also how long is the boost going to last. I'm super curious because now it's all the way up to like 49-26, and I think at some point DeSantis was winning. It doesn't appear that MTG has taken any specific side, at least not that I could find. I tried looking it up, but it appeared that she seems a bit agnostic or leaning Trump, but I could be wrong. But she says the online personal fights between Trump and DeSantis influencers need to stop. It makes everyone look bad and helps no one. We are $31 trillion in debt. Our border is out of control with 300 plus people dying daily from drugs. Our economy sucks. Our kids are being groomed and indoctrinated by Pedos. We are fighting a war in a foreign country against the nuclear-armed superpower that has caused skyrocketing inflation and changed the balance of world alliances, creating BRICS that may destroy our dollar. Focus on the real enemies causing all of these extremely serious problems. So this, of course, here is going to be talking about just all of these, BS ideas that are coming up. She's obviously lying about all this stuff. There's no grooming and all this stuff going on. They're just making the lies about the whole trans situation, of course, which is also interesting because do recall that like Republicans, and especially like in terms of federalism and the founding of the United States, like one of the most really prized possessions of sort of federalism and the founding of the United States is parental control over raising their child and leaving the government out. And so what they're now saying is like they're going to ban parents from making medical decisions for their child. So it's like huge government intrusion. That's like one of the most deepest kinds of things that was considered. But obviously the debt is mostly Republicans. You recall that basically Republicans destroy the economy and then a Democrat has to come in and fix it. That's what happens, whether it be, Bill Clinton or Obama or whoever. So it's just making up a bunch of garbage, right? We don't even need to focus on this. And this is a really good strategy known, if you guys don't know, it's a very good manipulative, fallacious strategy called gish galloping. So notice that, man, there's a lot of arguments in here. This must be really convincing. Marjorie Taylor Greene must be really convincing. And actually, when you look at each one individually, you realize, oh, no, that's bullshit, that's bullshit, that's bullshit. But since it's just so much in volume, it didn't look convincing to me at any point. But I don't know, for you it might, or somebody who doesn't know this stuff. Obviously, I spend a lot of time reading this stuff. But for somebody, it might look convincing just due to sheer size. So be on the lookout for a gish gallop, strategy that you can do where it's like, oh, shit, wait, that's actually, none of that is true. Which says, focus on the real enemies causing all of these extremely serious problems. So there's honestly a good question to ask about whether or not, primary fighting is good. I think primary fighting is good to a healthy degree. I think as long as it's within the lines. If it gets too outside the lines, then it does become problematic. But I think that, I don't know the political science on this, but that's a really interesting topic actually, is, if there's any kind of correlation between having primary challengers and emerging victorious. Because, I think competition and pluralism are good concepts that do result in good things. And so I do think competition between candidates does create the best, chance of getting a good candidate. Plus, with how important the election is, it just seems like that is a serious issue, right? Picking your candidate, all those things that are so serious. Don't you think that picking the proper candidate is even more serious because that's the person that's going to be leading the supposed solution to those problems? So again, not really making sense here. But there is a mix in here. We're going to try to, sift through this because some of these people are just Democrats just trolling, basically. So we're going to have to look at this. This is Ian Miles Chong. That's obviously Republicans said, no, it's good. It must continue because neither side will quit. May the strongest survive. So that is kind of like, as assuming things are within the lines and rational actors, et cetera. I think that, competition is good. This person says DeSantis is more masculine. Why not choose the man that doesn't wear makeup? Some Trump supporters seem upset. I pointed out DeSantis is more masculine. Why does that bother them? Why not pick the guy that doesn't wear makeup? And then, so, there's a bunch. This one says, you're a sellout. Tell Ron to back Trump and stop running an illegal shadow campaign. So it is a shadow campaign. It's called the invisible primary in political science right now. It says, tell McCarthy to come out and endorse Trump. Hell, why haven't you endorsed Trump yet? We hear you talk about the game about supporting Trump and no endorsement. Say it. Say you endorse Trump 2024. So it's getting pretty intense with this kind of stuff. But there's so many of these kinds of things going on. This one says, I just said the same thing. We have a real enemy and it's not each other. So that one is agreeing. It says, we have to battle the establishment first. These paid influencer accounts are here to change people's minds for their candidate while we not correct the mistruths and attacks on Trump. And so the issue with kind of like this is an interesting topic too, is like the individual influencers and that kind of thing, just kind of trying to, inflame things, make money off of content and that kind of thing for their own personal gain as well. I haven't seen any DeSantis influencers sexually harassing Trump people the way Loomer, Brucewitz, and others have. The problem is that Trump himself started the personal attacks against DeSantis, accusing him of being with underage girls and maybe a man. Tell him to stop too. Otherwise, people like Alex and Loomer and their ilk believe they're licensed by him to escalate the vulgarity. This is not the way forward. And so Laura Loomer was a weird hire from the Trump campaign. It seemed bizarre because, I don't know, for Trump, I didn't think that going super insane I feel like if Trump goes super insane, it's a dumb strategy. I think that if you're Trump, you're already TFG. You want to try to come as much to the center right as possible to eat up as many center right voters as you possibly can. And so that was a weird, dumb hire to me, in my personal opinion. Maybe he's trying to pander to that base, but you can't win just with the base, the general election. You can win the primary that way, but you can't win the general that way. And so she was just saying crazy, saying she just has her legs open, so super misogynistic stuff, which is just, it's weird seeing a woman do that, but I don't even know how to wrap my mind around that. But a lot of women are weirdly misogynistic. But there's just a lot of this kind of thing going on in terms of people who are really, pissed off. This says, all those things sound like your job as our representative. Stay in your lane while we focus on getting the right guy into office to help you out. There's just so much of this kind of thing. So it has 9,000 replies or thousands of replies. I don't know. No, when DeSantis announced he's not running, then it will stop. Or we take his poll numbers to zero, whichever one comes first. So this is intense stuff, man. There's a really, really intense fight going on here between these two people. But there's thousands and thousands of replies to this tweet. But who's going to end up victorious in the DeSantis-Trump war? It's very likely going to be Trump. I mean, he has a huge incumbent advantage. He has a boost right now, but I don't know how long this boost is going to last. But for me, DeSantis never had a chance of winning unless it was a 1v1. It doesn't look like it's going to be a 1v1, but if it was a 1v1, he's probably still going to lose because his strategy of winning a 1v1 is being the mainstream candidate. He's convinced that he seems convinced his strategy is to basically be a super fascist, to super fascist out fascist Trump. That's not a winning strategy, that's a losing strategy. The way to win is try to retain as much of those Trumpies as you can, which you have a unique ability to do, but then set yourself up as the mainstream candidate and eat everyone else. Because Trump had no chance if it was him 1v1 against anybody in the Republican primary. But since it was a 17-candidate race, he won. Because he got a plurality that no one else could touch because he occupied a space that no one else was down to go into. So, but the strategy he's doing indicates to me he doesn't even understand that basic strategy. So if he doesn't even understand that basic strategy, he got no chance. So it'll be interesting to see. But this is going to be a pretty heavy war. And DeSantis has to announce soon because we're actually we're in less than a year out from the first primary. So you have to announce soon. I mean, this is when the candidates start to announce. So by June, I think it's considered what the commentators are saying is a deadline. So once he jumps in, is he going to get a boost? I don't know, but his campaign strategies seem to be complete dog water from what I've seen, which is not a good sign.